What's up guys, Psychopoko here, bringing you in the One Piece Treasure Cruise video. For this we'll be going over the tier list update for April 2018. And for this we're going to be actually going over some of the differences we're having with color-based legends, as well as some of the differences with classes in the game, and differences between the two as far as how you're going to build teams and where they should be organized in the tier list. If you do want the Google document for this going forward, there's always going to be in the description below, and all the previous videos for tier lists are also in the description below. If you guys do want to get timestamps, they're also there as well, so if you do want to see specific timestamps, I always put them in my videos nowadays, so if you do want to see those, they'll be in either the description or the comment section down below. The major changes this time around, we're going over the new V2 Akainu and V2 Aokiji, as well as where they should fall in the list, and an explanation of where we're going to be going forward with the tier list as far as colors goes, dual units goes, and all that stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy the video, and hope you guys enjoy this tier list update. Alright guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So let's talk about the tier list and all the cool things that have been happening in the last month or so and what is going on. So the first change, as you can see, is I'm going to be putting Lucy back to the #1 strength legend. The reason he is #1 again is because of what you can do with Lucy. And I really wanted to put somebody higher. I was really considering putting somebody else higher, but what you can do with Lucy is you can actually pair him with too many other characters in the game, so his versatility is much higher than Luffy Ace. Any utility character that you can use with the Luffy Ace, you can also use on a Lucy team. So there's really no reason why I can't put Luffy Ace, why Lucy is worse than Luffy Ace. Lucy's faster, just as safe, and can use more units more effectively. So my honest opinion is that Lucy's just better as far as the strength units goes. But I mean, Luffy Ace might be able to clear more content, might be safer in the future. Who knows? I mean, it really just depends on what they're going to do with Free Spirit. Even the new Bonnie you can use with Luffy Ace. You just can't. You can use the bind reduction and the silence reduction, I think, or the bind reduction, paralysis reduction, but you can't use like the other things with it. But that's fine. I mean, you still get the heal on the Lucy team. You don't have to use like the full viability of Bonnie. I mean, Bonnie still has like a lot of mechanics. And Lucy can still use like Raizo or other units as well. So I mean, there's tons of options for Lucy, and I can't think of a reason why I should put Ace Luffy or Luffy Ace above Lucy as far as a character goes. They're both really freaking good, right? They're both amazing. However, Lucy's easier to use, Lucy's brain dead, and you just roll through content. I don't really have any problems with Lucy. I mean, nobody really uses him that much anymore, but like if you do want to use him, he's fast, he's easy. I mean, he's just older now. I mean, he's aged very well. To be fair, Lucy has aged very well, so I really don't think that there's any problems with that. To be honest, Ace Luffy Special is better, but I think Lucy is actually better. I'm gonna cave. I'm gonna say it's better. Stays in the #3 slot above Akainu because of his amazing flexibility with the V2 Rayleigh, all the damage you can put out there, the speed you can put on Croc teams because of all the other units here, the sub viability you can use on Croc. Akainu is gonna stay at the #4 slot. I was considering moving him down, but he did get a buff with color-based legends, so I'm gonna leave him. I mean, he's fine at #4. Lucci stays at #5, and we're gonna keep, and everybody else stays the same from there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the best types or the best colors in the game. And what we're going to be doing going forward here is a little bit different than what I've been doing previously. Previously, what I was doing was saying, hey, these characters are the best of these colors, and I'm going to group them all together in one batch and say because they're so good and they're this color, we're going to put them into the tier list and say, hey, these are the best colors in the game because they have the most units that are good in that color. Then keep organizing as you go down. And I now see fault in that. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say this new types order, and what we're gonna do here going forward is going to be based off of their captain ability as well as the subs you can use in that color. So like an int type lead, a Psy type lead with Psy subs. etc. And they can be like multiple different colors, like captains, stuff like that. So Int obviously has the new version 2 Shanks as well as version 2 Akainu as captains, both amazing, great pairings, and they're just great overall. There are very few weaknesses on these characters, and they have a lot of really great things on them. Though there's a 0.9 chain boost with just the Shanks, there's also a 2.25 type boost, there's a 2.25 orb boost, full board orb manipulation, and then if you did use a Kainu friend captain and you wanted to use the Kaya Kainu sub, then you have a color affinity along with that. You can bring a conditional character easily with that. You can use the new Lucci, who is a fighter captain, with that. So there's like a lot of different characters that you can use, and that's extremely strong that you can have just 4 characters on your team and your whole team is boosted exactly how you want it to. And then you can bring other characters that would be a 3.75 boost. And you have, if you bring all Int orbs, that they get all Int orbs with the Shank special, then they're already matching on your team because of the Akainu friend captain. So there's tons of different things you can do with Int now, and I cannot believe how strong they are as just a color. It's like in 4 units they already have every single boost in the game, and you cannot believe how quickly that happened. As a color, that's amazing. 4 units, full board orb manipulation, every damage boost in the game, and now you can just bring subs in order to finish out whatever you need. You can just bring whatever subs you want. And there's always ships for colors too. So if you wanted to bring an all-int team, and you can actually just bring all-int and use the Moria ships. So you already have ships for that too. So like that part's already nice too. You can try to mix up the classes a little bit, put other characters in there. And having 2 characters that you can put in there for utility is very, very strong. If you wanted to use a Colosseum Sicilian on this team, say using an Akainu special with Colosseum Sicilian on this team, then you have another Orb boost, type boost on one room. Then you can just use a Shank special in another room, and then you can use just like most of the boosts on another room. There's tons of options. And that part is insane, that you have so many options with Int, and they can do everything right away. Then we have Sai at number 2. The reason I put Sai at number 2 is because with the new Sai characters, we have the new Aokiji, and we have Zoro Sanji. And both of them make them very, very, very strong. There's no disadvantages you have with type, so you can build lots of different teams. And there's a lot of Sai units that you can bring in order to get full board orbs. You can get through heals, you can bring man share to get rid of silence, you can get rid of paralysis, poison, a lot of different things there. And there's no restrictions on Sai, so that part is nice. I really like Sai there, but they do have less damage than Int, and they have to use more units to get the same place that Int is at. So definitely putting them at number 2 is great. Then we have Quick. You can build a Quick team with the new Sai lead here with Aokiji, so you can bring just the two Aokijis and a full Quick team if you wanted to. Quick, they have some great Quick boosts, but you already have a 2.25 Quick boost with the new Aokiji, so that's insane. So that's also really, really good. Then you also have Lucy, who can be used for 3 Quick characters on your team, so that's really good for a half Quick team. So you do have that as a color-based lead there. Then you have Strength, which can be used with Akainu, which is very good. Now the reason I put Strength below Quick here is even though you are going to be using Lucy and Akainu as 2 really good leads here, Aokiji really feeds the Quick class a little bit better than the Strength class. And the thing is, with using it when using Int lead with the Strength sub, that's great and all, but what I would do is I would actually think that I would want to bring some utility on this team, and Strength has far less utility than Quick does. And Quick has so much stuff. They have Wave Clear, they have tons of different things that Strength has, but just not as good. And I can't find a way that Strength is better than Quick, but I can see that Strength is better than Dex. And the reason I can say that is even though you can bring a Zoro Sanji team and use that with the V1 Law and V2 Dofi sub, it is really, really hard to build that team because you have to build so many things into that team in order to get that team to work. You can still use Zoro Sanji with Aokiji though, so that would make him a very good gateway character to get Aokiji if you're building a full Sai team with 1 Quick unit that doesn't get a full boost, which is fine. You're just going to be getting less of a boost on that character. You do not have to bring 2 different characters into your team with that, and it can mix around how you want to do it, but he does help you in getting that gateway character. You can also use V1 Shanks in order to use that with the Aokiji, and that gives you another gateway legend in using the Aokiji. So there's tons of ways of getting the Aokiji to work. However, Dex is really hit and miss. Like using a full Dex team on a Lucy team is really not that great. Using a full Dex team on the Zoro Sanji team is also not that great. You can use them, but there's flaws in those teams that are just really, really big, and you have to like fight to use those teams versus like the other classes or the other colors being much easier to use. So that's why the color list is in this order, and those are my thoughts and feelings as far as color-based captains versus in order and what I believe as the best colors or types in order. Let me know what you guys think about this and this change that I'm making to the tier list and how I'm going to be structuring this going forward. Let me know if you guys do like this or not like this, and please give me some articulate comments. If you guys do want to make changes to the tier list and want me to change content in the future, always please put your best foot forward. Let me know exactly what you think and in the best possible way. If you're putting the best version of yourself in the comments, then I can actually trust your opinion and figure out exactly what you're saying. If you're just being, you know, weird, then I can't. The next is going to be for quick. It's going to be Luffy Ace for number 1. And to be fair, there's just no one who can even rival him. Not even close. We have Franky at number 2. And really, I understand why V2 Lucci fans are like still mad about this. I understand. I really like V2 Lucci. However, I really like Franky. And one of the things that Franky does that's really nice is that Franky can be used with basically anybody that does not have, that has a shooter, striker, slasher, or fighter captain ability. He can be used with any of those, and he is the most versatile captain because he's a rainbow captain that universally boosts all of those classes. That is phenomenal. And I understand that he has a 1 turn 4x multiplier, but he's a 3x multiplier otherwise, and that is a really strong captain ability. Just saying, 3x is awesome. So if you need a 3x captain ability plus the other burst captain ability, whatever you're going to be using, most of the time we're talking 95+%, that's enough. And with Lucci, he does not have a 4x captain ability. There are a lot of people under the misconception that Lucci starts at a 4x captain ability and stays at a 4x captain ability. They think he's 4x, and he's not. He is basically a 3.5 multiplier. If you do the math for a Lucci captain versus 6+ Lucci, the damage comes out nearly the same. So just know that V2 Lucci and V1 Lucci have virtually the same amount of damage, and they just have different damage based on type advantage. So one is better than the other in other situations, and he is just as strong as V1 Lucci, except he has that wave clear and defense down, so he can be used well with bow assisters. So he does have some extra viability there, but just know that they have the same damage output. So don't think that one is better than the other. The next one, unless we're going to have V2 Law 6+, and the reason he is staying at the number 4 slot is because he is a stupid strong character with a stupid Kron captain ability, and just overall beastly. He can just meme on lots and lots of content. You're just like, oh, I forgot to do something. Let me just pinch heal back up to full. Oh, I forgot to do something. Let me just hit this guy like 6 times. Oh, I don't even need to stall on content. Let me just heal up through the whole thing. It's amazing. It's like having Corazon as a captain, but with a 3x multiplier while hitting perfects. It's amazing. And you have 40,000 HP, so you don't even care. It's awesome. It's awesome. Then we have Kuzan at Kuzan 6+ below that, and the reason I put a lot of people do still get salty about Kuzan over Law, and one of the reasons that Kuzan is better than Law, in my personal opinion, is that he can just do more as a rainbow captain. If you can clear the content just speedily already, you would probably want to use Kuzan as a captain. If you want to clear the content with a Law sub, that's great. You can also use a Kuzan sub. I find myself not using V1 Law very often. I don't even want to use him. I have a fully Pentamax V1 Law, and I literally don't want to use this unit half the time. Like, there's no reason to. But V2 Law, I find ways to use this unit because he's just better. Same with Kuzan. There are reasons to use Kuzan. Extending buffs, bringing a 100k wave clear. All that is great. So just know that there are more reasons to use 6+ Kuzan than there are to use 6-star Law version 2. And I understand why there are a lot of people that really like version 2 Law. He is really great in the global version, but you're going to start seeing the power creep soon of what happens to him and why you don't use him as often, but you still can use him. Then we have TS Luffy, and he's in the fair spot, to be fair. Then we got Bartolomeo 6+, then we got Enel, Dofi V1, and the rest don't really matter because I didn't really change anything or care about changing those. So let's talk about the best classes in order, and before you guys click off this part of the video, make sure you listen to this part right here. So this is, first off, very different than it is on global. This is the Japanese version of the best classes in order. This is not the global version. What is changing on the Japanese version is what's happening going forward and what we're seeing with the captains that you can use for these classes, as well as the subs you can use for these classes. Now, Driven as a class has a lot of utility that you can bring, a lot of things that really are painful for them you can actually get rid of. Powerhouse does as well, Free Spirit does as well, Cerebral does as well, Slasher just got him, but is lacking perfect captains, and then Strikers kind of has them, but I'll go over exactly what I mean by that. So the first thing that we're seeing in endgame content is that we're seeing a lot more shift toward the color meta, and we're seeing a lot less class-based meta. And what that means is that going forward, we're going to have to talk about the captains and the classes a little bit differently. So if they are a captain that can utilize a whole class and only that class, then they are that lead specifically. So like a driven captain would be Dofi. If you use Judge as a full powerhouse team, that's considered a powerhouse team with a powerhouse captain. If you're using a Judge team with mostly powerhouse, like 5 out of 6 powerhouse and 1 non-powerhouse, then that is still a viable team, but is not really a powerhouse team. So it's not really a fair comparison between the two, because that does not shore up powerhouse. It shores up Judge. It doesn't shore up the class itself. So Driven has 2 weaknesses. The first weakness is Chain Lock, and the second weakness is going to be Silence. And those are the 2 main weaknesses that Driven has. Powerhouse has actually a lot more, which I was very surprised on. Powerhouse weaknesses are very wide-ranging, because what happens with Powerhouse is you actually need to bring a very good captain like Lucci or or Judge in order to bring your whole team. And then with those captains, you either have restrictions, and then you're not able to bring everybody you want to. So there's a lot of content now that you definitely bring Powerhouse for. There's no fucking question. But then there's other content you're like, oh, I'll just meme it with Driven. And the actual feeling is you're just going to meme the content with a Driven team. And I actually stopped using Dofi so much because I felt like he was too strong. Like I was like, oh my god, this is way too strong. And the Judge Batch team, at well being a powerhouse team, is very, 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 very strong, and right now is my favorite team. However, they do fall short on the most recent content, and Powerhouse overall does not. But you have to use if you use a V2 Lucci team, it can still clear the content, clear it relatively quickly. But the Dofi team can be considered faster depending on how you're going to be using your team, when you use specials. So depending on what you're going to be doing and how you're going to be structuring your teams, it can be much more difficult to build a Powerhouse team, much more difficult to use a Powerhouse team, and can barely scrape by in certain situations. And in 2 Colosseums recently, Judge barely cleared content, but you really didn't want to use him because it was a barely clear. And they weren't even full Judge teams, and they weren't even powerhouse teams. They were like powerhouse and driven team. They were driven teams, so it was a weird team. And there are other there's sets of content where it's really, really tough to use Judge. And the other thing is, like, older content, if you go back to it, Judge memes on it really strong. He's amazingly strong. And if you use Lucci on that content, he's really strong. However, on the most recent content, it's not like Lucci is falling short. It's like Lucci is less wanted as far as the most recent Colosseums that are coming out. And the thing with the tier list is that whenever you're talking about a tier list, you can go back to all the past content, because all the legends that are coming out now have a very easy time with past content. Any legend that's released can clear all the forests. They can do lots of different content very easily. There's really no problems with these characters. But what happens is, what's going to be going forward for the next Colosseum? What are we going to see for the next set of content coming out? And that's where the tier list is structured. You cannot base a tier list based off past content alone. You have to base it off current content and a little bit of future content, based off where you think the direction of the game is going, as well as what you're going to see. Free Spirit, however, is really, really strong with this new limited recruit Ani. I almost put them above Powerhouse. It was really close. The reason I didn't is because Powerhouse is faster. Way faster. You have Hody, you got everything else, and then Driven can also be faster because you don't even have to, you just auto attack and you're done. Free Spirit doesn't have that. If Free Spirit had a captain that you could just auto attack all the way through and everything would die and you would not have to use specials, then I could consider Free Spirit to be a little stronger. But the thing with Driven teams and Powerhouse teams, there's a lot of content. Even like Colosseum Neko, you can beat with a Judge team or even a Dofi team if you do it correctly. I mean, it's really hard to do with the Dofi team because, type disadvantage. But you can beat Colosseums with Judge with no specials. Endgame Colosseums, like Colosseum Nekomamushi. And that's how strong in difference a Judge Batch team is, a Driven team is, versus a Free Spirit team is. So I understand where the class shift is going and everything, but there is a very, very, very power-hungry team that is the V2 Dofi team and the Powerhouse team. Lucy, by the way, is none of these. He is a fighter and a striker. However, his teams are rainbow as hell, so just know that he is not part of this class order thing here. He is considered, and you can build different teams on him, but the thing is, he uses characters from every class that he wants to, so it's really hard to consider Lucy as a striker captain. It's really hard to use him as a fighter captain. I mean, you can use him with so many different classes, so it's hard to put him in this class order here. I do consider him, but like he's not like a heavy proponent. Then we have Cerebral. There are tons of Cerebral leads right now. There's so much versatility. There's so much you can do with them, and there are tons of free-to-play units to use along with those units that make them really, really viable. Definitely great for the number 4 class. Number 5 class, this was actually a very interesting thing that happened recently. It's actually, this is not because of 6+ Kizaru, this is actually because of Ors. I was really surprised. So there's Ors, there's Violet, there's a lot of units that were really, really good for Cerebral, and one of the things that made Striker better than Cerebral was utility, and not Striker better than Cerebral, Striker better than Slasher was utility, and now Slasher has that, but they have more damage. So, and they're easier to use too, and they have in-talk mechanics too, so there's like other options that you have. So overall, Slasher is actually better than Striker now, which is really weird. That Ors really just put him over the top, which is crazy. They were just missing that conditional, and the reason they were missing that conditional is because the best Slasher lead in the game, V2 Fujitora, can actually delay and then procs the Ors. So you actually have a conditional boost that's procced off your captain already with your full board Orb Manipulate, which is great. And then type boost is really easy to attain with the Kairos, so you can bring in multiple rooms. And you also have the TM Mihawk, which is Chain Lock and Orb Boost. Then you have another character you can bring for utility, so you have tons of different stuff you can do if you need it. And Ors also has a utility mechanic along with him. Kairos gets rid of Binding Despair too, and then you can bring Rebecca to get rid of Chain Limit and stuff. There's like tons of different things with Slasher right now that they're just really great with. And if they want to get rid of an attack down mechanic on the final boss, you just bring an Intalk instead and just not even deal with it. So overall, Slasher is actually really strong, and I was not expecting that the character that put them over was not like Kizaru or something, it was actually Ors. So that's really cool. Striker, the reason they've fallen so far down is because there are only 2 true Striker leads in the game. The first Striker lead is of course Nekomamushi, and the second is going to be Bartolomeo. Now Bartol can be used as a driven or Striker lead, and I've used both teams with interchangeably. Try to build full striker team, full striker driven team, full driven team, and I've used Barto interchangeably with a lot of different teams, and I can tell you that it is much easier to build a driven team with Barto than a striker team. Now the Boa sisters are an amazing pairing, I will give you that. There's no way that I'm going to say they're bad. Full board Orb Manipulation along with type boost and conditional is very, very good in 2 characters. However, bringing them on every single team is actually proving to be more difficult than impossible right now. And with the negative beneficial orb enable meta coming in right now, where there is tons of different negative beneficial orb enable. If you know what that is, if you're a global player or you're not an Indian player, a negative beneficial orb enable is something that counteracts your positive beneficial orb enable. And what happens is that they make certain orbs or colored orbs or whatever into negative orbs, and they do it for a set amount of turns, and that actually completely screws over Striker really, really bad. Slasher has a way around it already with Intalk, and they have ways around it with getting tandem orbs as matching. They have ways of getting out the meat orbs as matching. There's different ways that you can use Slasher, which I was very surprised. Like I didn't even realize it until recently that you could do this with Slasher, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But Striker still falls short on this, and one of the things that Striker also falls short on is like Invasion Cavendish, as well as being really, really close to clearing Invasion Guard, but it's really hard. And Slasher can actually beat Invasion Guard really easily with a V1 Law 6+, and of course 6+ Mihawk. And if you do get on the global version, there is like TS Zoro combinations with the T and Mihawk, the V1 Law and Mihawk. It is pretty close, as well as it's probably as close as the Neko team, but on the global version, it's a little different, and I'd say Striker is definitely better than Slasher. And on the JP version, Slasher's just got a little better because of that Luffy Ace Batch with Ors, which is really weird. I was not expecting it. Then we'll talk about a little bit more shooter and fighter a little bit later. But that's the class order right now. And I know you guys are going to be a little bit passionate about this and have a lot of feelings about this. But, you know, give me your thoughts on this and be really articulate about your thoughts. And let me know what you guys think in the description below. And I really want to know more about what you guys think, but be as clear as possible, concise as possible, and tell me everything you guys want to tell me here, because this is a very big controversial point that we do talk about in a lot of my tier list videos of what the best classes are. So give me your thoughts in complete form. Don't like just meme on me and just say, oh, striker number 1. Because that's I know you want to say it, but it won't change anything. There's no changes to the Dex list. We still have V2 Dofi, Rayleigh all here, so they're going to be the same. Dex list is the same. For the Psy list, I did keep Neko at 3 because I can't put anybody higher. So the introduction of the V2 Aokiji is making, in my opinion, the second best, because first off, he's unproven. We don't know too much about him besides what he does, and we don't know what teams we can build with him without using for a month. So as always, I'm gonna be putting him in here unless I think he's so broken that he should be above another character. I'm not gonna do that. So Judge, I'm gonna keep at number 1 because Judge is just stupid strong. I mean. He's insane. I don't even believe it. Like I'm actually clearing so much content now. I'm actually going back with the full German squad, and I'm clearing all the Colosseums that I did before, and I'm not even using specials with Judge. He's that strong. You can just like go through the content and not even use specials. And you're like, oh, no problem. I'll just clear this, no specials. Oh, do I need to stall? Oh, I actually need to stall for like 1 turn. Hold on, let me just stall for 1 turn. That's why Judge is still number 1. He is so freaking strong. Like, he's the most underrated best legend. Oh my god. Then there is V2 Aokiji. He's great captain, great special. He's got really great mechanics with him, and he has that new color affinity booster, the Hina, you can use with him. There's tons of cool things about this character. Nothing negative that I can see. He's right now to me unproven, and he starts out at 3.25 going to 4 times. So I can't really say that he is better than Judge, because you also have to hit with Psy Quick, which is kind of annoying. If you did not know, Treasure Mode Cavendish has a similar mechanic where you have to hit with all the same color, and that was kind of annoying going into stuff. So just knowing that I have to go Psy Quick is going to put some limits on my team, and there are limits on the Judge team as well. But overall, I don't know how it's going to affect the gameplay and what we're going to see in the future. But I can say that Judge is just overall too strong to put lower. Then we have Nekomamushi, of course, and I can in good conscience say Robin is stronger-ish, but like there's just too much content Neko can clear. There's just too much content. He does fall short near on the most recent Colosseums, Kai Colosseums that he's been not Kai Colosseums, most recent Colosseums you can run him on, most recent raid bosses you can run him on, and you can still use the teams. It's an obviously non-preferred team. Like you would, if you had to choose Neko, you had to choose Neko, not like you wanted to pick Neko. It's more of a I have to use this character because I don't have any other option, and that like he's still very good, but I in no way force myself to use this character, especially on Raid Lucci when you can't even use Orb Manipulation. God, that's annoying. Oh my god, that is annoying for Neko. I mean, you can use a Shirahoshi with Neko, and that's fine, but god, that was annoying. I think that was the best way to get around the mechanics. You use Shirahoshi with the Neko team, and then you just monster through it, right? And that was the way I did it. But like, I had to use Shirahoshi, and she carried him through it. It wasn't like Neko was so strong that he did it. It was that Shirahoshi carried him. I would have done the same thing with Barto with Psy subs, with like the Fukaboshi and the Ikaros. It would have been the same with that. So it's not like Neko's so strong that he's the one that made it possible. It's that, you know, Shirahoshi carried him. So I can't say Neko's the best here. I can't say he's like number 1 or anything close to that. Then we have Robin. It's the same from last week. Last time we have Robin, Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi's still proving to be very strong. I can't put her higher than Robin, obviously, because Robin is just an amazing, phenomenal unit. Can't really do anything about that. 6+ Law, we finally were correct art here. And I didn't change anything with Borsellino, to be honest. He's not better than 6+ Law. He's definitely better than 6+ Law. And I didn't change the art because fuck it. G4 Luffy, I'm going to keep there. Yeah. Main reason, Totsuki actually said it best. So I watched his tier list video, of course, and I agree. So the thing with the new Free Spirit batch is that it's all fighter Free Spirit, and you can use G4, and you can use a friend TS Luffy. You could. I mean, you don't have to use. The thing is, Garp is not really usable because of that, but you can still use G4. I mean, it's still completely viable. There's no reason you can't. And the nice thing is that if you do get a quick orb, you can actually just swap it out real quick with the other captain, and you're done. I mean, I really don't see any problem with G4 right now, because he's actually pretty strong right now. Because all the utility you want to use is for Free Spirit Captain, and he happens to be Fighter Free Spirit. He happens to be better. I did keep Shooter higher than Fighter though, and the reason I want to go over Sai before I go over Fighter and Shooter is because Kizaru 6+ kind of enables some cool shooter teams, and I'm not gonna lie, I am way more excited about those than I am fighter teams. Fighter teams are just straight up boring, and you're like forcing yourself to make them. Same with shooter teams. Now, this is the most annoying thing about shooters, and is the worst. And you guys on the global version don't know this yet, because you cannot have experienced this yet because of the way limit breaks worked. So, the way barrier penetration works is that at the higher levels, it completely goes through barriers, right? But at the lower levels, it's based off your HP. So what happens with shooters way too often is that you get a character with like a great barrier or a good barrier. It's like a 3-turn good barrier, great barrier, whatever. And you try to go and you try to hit the barrier to break the barrier, and then you just realize halfway through your attack order that half of your team has barrier penetration, the other half doesn't. So it's like some of your team does damage, the other half doesn't, which is the same as what the barrier would do, but it doesn't help you with the barrier. So it becomes this annoying mechanic that you have to remember who is fully limit broken on your team versus not fully limit broken on your team. And shooters, to get the characters fully limit broken and fully rainbowed, that's what I mean, not by fully limit broken here, not like the full crystals and the potions, but you have to have them fully rainbowed in order for them to be good. Which is stupid annoying. Oh my god. You have no idea how annoying it is. If you guys try out shooter batches, it is stupid annoying. However, without the barrier mechanic and all that stuff there, if you use the new Kizaru lead as a shooter lead, that is a really fast team, because you have 2 turns minus from the Kizaru, the other 2 turns from the other Kizaru, and then you have a 2-turn minus from cooldown reduction, and then 2 turns from the ship, so that's -8. Yeah, that's really fast. So you get all your cooldowns up really, really quickly. But the problem is you have to deal with the 2x multiplier right away, which is kind of annoying. But that doesn't mean you have to use Kizaru solely as the captain. You can actually use like a Kizaru Kuzan team and have a low damage on the first turn, then have your damage scale quickly over time. Or use Kizaru Boa, whatever you want to do. And you'll get more cooldown. So it's completely up to you on how you want to do that. On your first turn, your damage actually is massively higher. A 3.5 multiplier is top tier. That 3.5 multiplier is like, it's not like god tier, like oh my god, Judge, Lucy, all that shit. But 3.5 is pretty fucking good. It can do a lot. And Kizaru, I think, is very underrated because of this. But the 2x multiplier, I definitely understand where people are salty on here. 6+ Kizaru is just gonna stay here, number 8. I'm cool with that. I'd say Law is better and G4 is better, but still better than Boa by a lot. Boa sucks. If you guys have ever tried to use V2 Boa, Boa sucks. Class, we're gonna be going next over the Int stuff, and this is probably the most hype thing I wanted to go over today. And Int is really, really cool. Right now we got the V2 Shanks introduction, which is really great. I love him. He's an awesome character, awesome captain. We got to use him as a friend captain a lot in the treasure mode. It was really cool to use him. He did tons of damage, and it was really, really awesome for him. And now we have this V2 Akainu that like does exactly what you need for a V2 Shanks team, which is so freaking good. And they're guaranteed orbs on your Int teams. Oh my gosh, dude. I cannot wait to pair these guys together. I really wanted to pull for this V2 Akainu and Shanks banner, but obviously it's too shit to pull on, so I was so sad. But this V2 Shanks and V2 Akainu together, they are just phenomenal. I can't even wait to try this out. It's so cool. It is such a cool thing to put these two together. V2 Akainu, if you didn't know, has end of turn damage, where it's one of the first captain abilities with end of turn damage with an actual good captain ability. So that part's kind of cool. The problem with him, of course, is he's a 3.25 multiplier with end of turn damage. So I mean, you still get a lot of damage, but then the end of turn damage after that, it's good, but it's like, you know, it's situationally good. It'd also be really bad too. So like if you're trying to like just stall on a boss and you hit like 6 perfects to get the boss a little bit lower, but then you get that million tap to get him a little bit too low, and you're like, oh, it's below 50%. That can be bad. So I mean, it's gonna take some toying with to to get this V2 Akainu where you want him to be. I'd say V2 Shanks is still the safest, best int lead no matter what. It's going to be way easier to use him. And I would say that V2 Shanks with a V2 Akainu sub team was probably the best way to go versus using a V2 Shanks, V2 Akainu team after seeing what they both do. So overall, that's my feelings on those characters there. We're going to see Fuji stay at number 3, Hody stay at number 4, Mihawk 5, Sanji 6, V1 Fuji, then Rayleigh, Jinbei, and of course Buggy above Sengoku because Buggy number 1. As far as the characters to reroll for in this upcoming Sugo Fest or in any Sugo Fest going forward, what I would recommend doing is if you guys are rerolling and you're trying to figure out what the best characters to reroll for are, the best characters to reroll for are going to be Judge, Luffy Ace, V2 Shanks, V2 Rayleigh, and Lucy. And the reason these guys are the best to reroll for is, of course, because these characters will enable you to use do the most amount of content in the future as well as currently. So if you do reroll for these characters, it'll actually have a very easy start to the game, very easy to build your teams, and very easy to go forward overall. The reason I say Judge is really easy to build teams for because you can actually beat most of the early game with lobsters and dragons in your team, so you won't have to do much at all. And you can get like 20,000 plus HP with a Judge with an evolved Judge captain when fully limit broken with rainbow crabs. So yeah, he's pretty strong. I mean, and then you get damage reduction on top of that. So overall, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So just know that Judge can help you out through the early game. This is the only character you'll need besides crabs to get through most of the early game really quickly. Luffy Ace, also a very, very strong character to have early on because there's a lot of good free spirit units early on and you can get those on your team. And then we have, of course, V2 Shanks, making your teams very easy to make because he's a flat 2.75 captain no matter what content or what team you want to run. And he's 3.5 if you do make a color-based team. V2 Rayleigh, also a great character to bring. And the reason I put V2 Rayleigh here is because even though he is an HP threshold captain, he's still 2.5 rainbow, but he also has that 300,000 fixed damage, which is very strong early game, by the way. 300,000 fixed damage to any unit is really good. So just know that that is a very, very strong thing to bring, and he will be very good later on as well. If you do need an HP reducer, there are tons of HP reducers you can reroll with him with if you do want to do that route. But I would say that he is one of the best characters to reroll for, even though he would probably be the hardest character out of this set to reroll with, but you can use the most amount of characters. Lucy, obviously, always a great choice to reroll for because he's a well-rounded unit, very good unit overall. And then characters to reroll these characters with. If you do pull any of these 5 units and then you reroll another legend in the same multi, some of the great legends to go with these characters are Shirahoshi, really good unit to have with any batch, really good for forest clears, everything you want to do in the future. Shirahoshi is probably the #1 character I would try to reroll any of these characters with. Then V2 Dofi, really good character for for mid game and late game because of that wave mechanic that you have. There's a lot of bosses with 6 units or 5 units on the first for raid bosses that have 6 or 5 units on the stage before the boss. So what you can do is actually overkill on that stage, making it really easy, and then use a V2 Dofi special just to clear the wave after that. And the nice thing about V2 Dofi is that he works well with any of these characters besides Luffy Ace, but you still can use him on a Luffy Ace squad and just not have any boost on the V2 Dofi, which is perfectly fine. You don't even have to evolve the V2 Dofi to do that. You'll still do tons of damage. So V2 Dofi makes a really, really good sub on your team. He's basically like the Intok of now, so you can use him just like an Intok, but he doesn't have to be boosted. Then we have Franky, and Franky is really, really underrated, and the reason Franky's so good, especially early game, is because Franky has a massive damage reduction when you pop his Sailor ability, or not Sailor, his crew, whatever his super ability, I don't remember what it's called. Captain Action, there we go. And B, he also can do wave clear, which is really, really helpful. Let's say you wanted to just attack a boss and brought like mostly fighters on your team and you want to use the Franky captain. You can use Franky and be able to kill all the ads around a boss if you're having trouble like tapping the correct characters and making sure that you kill them all. Like early game, if you are an early game player, that's a really helpful mechanic because you don't have to like tap between characters, especially if you're using a striker team with this Franky or using shooters and shooters with Franky, or if you just want to bring a lot of fighters to do extra damage to the boss. This Franky allows you to do a lot of different teams, and he's a booster for a lot of these guys. So if you do want to use him on a Lucy team or you want to use him on a Luffy Ace team, you could actually use him as a booster, as a sub if you wanted to for your type boost, but you know, probably Luffy Ace versus, you know, Lucy. Also, A nice thing is that he shuffles block orbs, so that can be a really big thing early game, so that would be really helpful. Then we have Magellan, always a great unit to have because maybe there's a boss with poison or high defense or has a barrier, and you're not really sure how to get around it. Really good unit for that. And of course, Robin, who is a 100% damage reducer, so that part is really, really nice, especially if you're about to take a death hit. She's really good. You could argue Barto would fit here, but Barto's cooldown really early game is very, very long, so that's not always usable, whereas Robin's is. And her captain ability is very, very, very strong, making recovery orbs beneficial early game, very good, especially since you can't get the Zunisha ship right away, making it so that your meat orbs heal for massive amounts as well to heal up to full instantly, giving you a lot of viability, a lot of easy forest clears, etc. So overall, these are the characters I recommend you reroll for as far as good characters go for in this next couple this April month. And overall, there are no really changes from the March batch as well, but it was requested that I explain this a little bit more. Alright guys, well my name's Psychopogo. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you smack the like button down below, as well as the subscribe button down below, so we get lots of support on the channel, and of course, keep the channel growing. If you guys do want to get notifications on all my videos, make sure you hit the bell notification right next to it so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Have a great rest of the day, guys. Peace.